So this is my second reflection on my second week of placement. So the second week of placement was actually the week of their dress rehearsal. So this was the week before the actual concert. And it was really exciting because this was the first concert that I would be able to do with the students. But it was also fun to actually be able to play in a concert with kids again, because I used to volunteer a lot at my high school and elementary school, so I used to be able to play there and help out. So it's nice doing it again in university, especially with a new group of kids and new music. So yeah, I was interested to do that. We ended up playing Dvorak's New World Symphony, which was really exciting because that's actually one of my favorite symphonies, and I just saw it live, watched the TSO play it live actually a couple of months ago. So it was really nice to actually play it, or a simplified version of it with kids. Um, so the day that this happened, that the concert was on Thursday, I think my day had already been set up to be a little rough because I was just running late for things and I was really tired that day and I was just dealing with a lot. There was a lot on my plate that day. So just knowing that it would be exciting to like go do this concert and then just be done with the day and like be done for the week, was nice and was something to look forward to. But again, this whole day was just really long. So I think I ended up getting there 5 minutes after 6 o'clock, and the concert started at 7. So I had to like I was stressed out a bit getting in there. And then I think the moment before I'd stepped in the door to get to placement, I remembered that I completely forgot my sheet music in the folder at my house. And there was no point of going back home and grabbing it now because I was just so far away. And that just got me into my head thinking that, oh my gosh, you're supposed to be a role model, you're the student helper, like, and you forgot your music at home. Like, what does that show people? And I was just beating myself up over it for like the 5 minutes before I'd gotten inside. And that had already set my like mindset into like this negative spiral. And just prior to that, again, once I had realized I had forgotten my sheet music, my friend who's also doing placement with me texted me and saying that the director had just spoken to her and he had said, oh, well, I hope she brings her sheet music this week. So the fact that it happened like consecutively one after another, I was so scared to walk in because I was like, if he asks me about my sheet music and I say no, what is his response going to be? Obviously, after looking up the way that he's been with students already, I was so scared. So I was just not in the right mindset, but I knew that because I'm going to be around children, I can't be upset or negative because it's just, I don't want my personal problems or my um, uh, energy to bring them down as well because it's not fair to them. My problems shouldn't be affecting them in that way. And I'd feel bad if it were to. And again, because there's such a standard put on us when we come in to do these type of things that you're the role model, and if you do something wrong, it's automatically going to look bad upon you. So I was very nervous when I walked in. I just kind of went in, didn't really say anything to anyone. And again, because I had so many things I was thinking of, and went and sat down, just unpacked my stuff right there, didn't even take anything to the other room to unpack. And the student who plays flute, the first flute part was actually written in his music. So he had both of them on the page. So I ended up sharing the music with him, which he was so sweet of to let me borrow once he realized I didn't have any music, which made me really happy and basically turned my day around to know that, there are little things that are going to help you. And I think it kind of made me realize that if you give your students respect and they respect you back and you've created a good relationship between the both of you, they will help you out in times when you do need help, regardless of how close you are. I think they know enough of that like aspect of humanity, to sit and help you, especially once they've seen you go through everything that you've gone through and help them. I think they definitely know enough. So it was really nice to have him give me his music. So we had done that, and rehearsal had started, and the director actually didn't even say anything to me. So I think he might have noticed. He might have just not said anything because maybe he did pick up on that on the way that I was acting and that I was just really quiet that day and just trying to get done what I need to get done, to just push through that hour and a bit. So the rehearsal went okay. It was more stressful because he was so adamant on every single kid getting every single part right. And I don't want to call it bickering because that's not what it is, but it was a lot more of, okay, that's wrong. Like, why are you doing that? Or as he's conducting and something, and they're not following the tempo that he's conducting, he would just get frustrated, put his baton down, turn around and walk away, and then come back. I'm like, okay, but what are you showing the kids by getting that angry? Like, they're just going to sit there and shrug their shoulders because they don't care. Whereas if you were to stand there and say, okay, no, like, let's go back and let's actually fix that. This is what it sounds like. And then sing the part to them or go with them, stand with them as they're playing it and have everyone else work on something else and just focus on that. And I understand this entire hour that he had the week before the concert was dedicated to, the last hour that they had was dedicated to just like a full orchestra rehearsal and not sectionals. But I just don't think it's beneficial for you to stand there, turn around and walk away because like again, like I said, like the kids just don't care. They just sit there and they're gonna end up making the same mistake because you're not really teaching them what they're doing wrong. All you're saying is that they're not in time with you. But you waving a stick in front of them isn't again teaching them what they're doing wrong. It's just you're showing them the tempo and they don't quite understand that if you're not actually teaching it to them or where the rhythms work, where the rhythms are supposed to fall in place or um, like telling them to write in that the tempo is changing. Like none of those instructions were given and none of the help was given. He just kept getting mad and walking away. So I think that was creating a lot of tension between the kids and him. And then after a little while, I started noticing that every time we were doing one of the warm ups, or I think like the middle of the piece where it's really, really loud, one of the clarinetists, the little boys, his mouthpiece just would, or his clarinet would squeak like very, very loudly to a point where I was like, okay, you're either biting too much because you're nervous or there's just something going on that's not right. So it kept happening a couple of times, and out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that he was slouching, and every time the director gave him a comment, he would just sit there and he wouldn't play. So I knew obviously something was wrong, and he genuinely looked like he was about to cry. So I sat there for about half an hour, and it progressively got worse and worse and worse till I genuinely thought that he was gonna just bawl his eyes out. So I was like, okay, I'm only the flute student here. It's not like I'm in the way of anyone. So I got up, I went and put my flute at the back, and obviously like the director could see this. I went and put my flute at the back and went to the side, crouched down beside him and asked him, do you want me to take you outside? I was like, we can go take a break right now. I was like, let's just go because I wanted to get him out of that environment because this guy had just been ripping on him the entire time. And I don't know, usually if I notice that students be upset about something or I've said something to them that bothers them, especially to that extent, I would have definitely stopped and gone and spoken to the kid or said, hey, why don't you go take 5 minutes outside, take a break? Because clearly something was wrong. I'm not going to let that type of a thing go unnoticed. And I wouldn't definitely not do it with my own kids. So he had sat there and he slept down and I went over to him. And so I got him up and I took his, I was like, let me go check your clarinet. Because I was like, if there's something that I can do, then maybe there's something I can do. If not, then we'll figure it out. So I put my stuff down, grabbed his clarinet and his case and everything, and took him outside. As I was walking to the door, the director called us out and he said, where are you going? And I responded by saying, I just have to go check his reed because it's squeaking a lot. And then he repeated the question and I answered again, the same thing. He repeated the question again until the student answered, listened to the student, and then wanted him to come over. Because basically, I just don't think he wanted me to go do that, which I don't understand why. Like, to me, it was like, okay, you really don't care about the fact that this kid literally wants to cry right now. And I, like, my heart went out to him. Like, I felt so bad because he got called out in front of the entire orchestra. They're all kids and they're all his friends. And he had to go stand up there with the director as he tried to figure out what was wrong with his clarinet, which took 15 minutes. Then the part that I found extremely funny was that we went back to our seats and sat down, and I just didn't say anything to anyone because I was so in shock that he did this. And the kid still looked like he was about to cry. And obviously, I'm sure this made him more embarrassed and more upset than he was at the beginning. And I said, I'm sorry to the student, and we sat down. For the next 15 minutes, the director worked with only the strings. So if we were going to sit there for the next 10, 15 minutes, just with you sitting and working on the strings, then why couldn't the student and I have gone outside and fixed his clarinet without bothering you, right? Because then the student would have gotten his own personal time, which I'm sure he needed 5 minutes to just not be in that room because he was upset or embarrassed about how he was playing or whatever it was that was going on. But the fact that the director still went and spent 15 minutes doing something that had nothing to do with the woodwinds or brass or percussion, like, I definitely could have resolved that problem. And if it was a bigger problem than I could have resolved, I would have just gone straight to the director. So that was something that really, really, really frustrated me after that. And I didn't say anything to the director after that because I just didn't know how I verbally wanted to get that comment out. But I was like, I also didn't want to start like a scene or like say anything where I would get in trouble either. Because I think maybe now I'm starting to understand that the environment is you just do what he says. And even if you think differently, you shouldn't be telling him what's right or wrong. Because again, like I just think there's something that's gone on in his life that we don't know about that if you talk back to him, that's just something that he looks down upon and he doesn't appreciate at all. And I want to build up the courage to say things when I feel like something's wrong because I should be saying things when something's wrong. I shouldn't be sitting there and letting everything just passively go by, especially something like that, which really hurt me to see the kid like that and just to see the environment, how it had shifted after that. And the director just moved on with everything as if nothing happened. And I don't know if they talked after to make up for what happened or for him to find out what was going on because the director didn't ask me anything either. Um, so that was like towards the end of the rehearsal, and that's basically what had happened that day. Um, and again, like looking back at what had happened, if that was my student, I would not have let him like I would not have had him just sit in class like that. I would have gone to talk to him and apologized if I had said something wrong or found out that maybe he's having a rough day. Maybe something happened at home. Maybe something happened at school. And that's why he's acting the way that he is. But that day really turned me away from the director as well because it just I don't know. I just can't imagine treating a student like that because that's just not the way I am with kids. Even if a student's talk back to me, like I still have a level of respect there for the student to know that if it's a kid who's talking back to me and he's had a rough day and something's gone on at home or gone on at school or in another class that I don't know about, I still wouldn't treat them rudely. Like I don't believe that children at that young age need to be treated like that, regardless of what they say to you, because I honestly don't think that they know better. And he never said anything rude to the director. He just quietly sat there, which makes me think that there was definitely something else going on. And I really, really wish I'd gotten the chance to go outside and talk to him about it and figure out what it was. But maybe it's not my place to do that. I don't know. And I don't know what the reasoning was as to why the director didn't let me take him outside and talk to him. I still really, really am trying to figure out why it was that he did what he did, not listen to my answer, listen to the student, and then just he himself fix what the student was doing wrong with the clarinet or whatever it was that had happened. But yeah, so that was my reflection for my second week of play.